45. Brown, 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, American Football Australia head office, NFL Australia head office, Cincinnati, worldwide, China, we found out last week. Danny boy, we are growing. Joining me as always on location, moving around for work purposes and sounding crisper than ever, I might add, at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Away for work, as you're saying, so in my mobile office.
The mobile office, which looks at the beautiful picture in the background, mate. It's a lovely bit of art.
Oh, yeah, no, always got to bring something.
You got to bring something. I apologise early if mine is a bit scratchy. It is school holidays. So I've got 17 kids in my house, all on the internet. So hopefully it works out all right and we can get through talking about a jam-packed Monday day, week 3, mate. It was absolutely huge. And we're going to start off the top with a big congratulations to you. You're on the board. You did have 2 swings at it. We're only giving you 1 point, though. Is that all right?
I don't know. I feel like I've picked 2, but then I guess if we carry on throughout this, you could just pick all the roughies.
I pick every week. I picked 14 roughies this week. How good's that? No, you did pick, and your birds got up, and my Packers got up. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, mate. Tell us about how did you do it? What did you do right today?
So that was all on the D. I said all last episode we needed a pass rusher. I said I wanted to have Sam Reddick back and and just banged on with that. But yeah, Carter and Davis really stepped up for us and had plenty of pressures on Derek Carr. He wasn't as dominating, or the offense wasn't either. They couldn't really get it all together. Hurts made a fair few mistakes as well. Like he threw some interceptions. I think he threw an interception in the end zone. He also fumbled the ball. Wasn't playing his best game, but yeah, the defense was the thing that really actually kept us in the game, which is great. So obviously they're listening to the podcast and they heard my little rev up being like, let's get this done. And they did.
And you were down for the entire game. It was the last drive. I think 5 plays for 60-odd yards. Dallas Goddard, a big 50-odd yard to finish the game and then set up for a Saquon Barkley touchdown, which he should have bloody got last week.
Yeah, but Goddard once again was the number 1 option, which is really interesting to see. I think because Jalen Hurts is so used to having an AJ Brown, which is that bigger receiver because he's built. So he tried to hit Smith a fair few times, which he did, and it was working. But Smith is just a little bit skinnier. He's quicker on his feet, don't get me wrong, but like when he was just getting tackled, he wasn't getting many yards after catch. But then you got Goddard out there, and he was shrugging people off like no tomorrow.
You mentioned about the D. I had a message straight after our episode last week from friend of the show, Jotham Russell's mum. She messaged me, and I do have a relationship with her. She's a lovely lady. I met her up on the Gold Coast. And she said, if Danny wants a defender, inside pass rusher, Jotham is ready to go over in New England. He's not getting game time in New England. Let's bring him across and get a third Australian over at the Birds.
We'll take him. I think he'd be perfect. Let me just call Howie, because I've got him on speed dial.
Yep.
I'll speak to him and tell him exactly what I want, and we'll get it done.
Right, well, when we speak to Jordan, when we finally get Jordan on, I'll say, mate, bring him across. Let's make it a big Australian trio over there. My Packers, I've got 30 seconds now. Same as you, defense. We kept the Titans down to 14. I was, and we both said it, I was a bit surprised that we were underdogs. And we came out early. Malik Willis was incredible for us again today. 70-odd yards on his feet and 250-odd in the air as well. So started off well with a couple of good throws. We got Reed out wide and then hit Watson on a 3rd down. Just did what we needed to do. Wilson scoring his first touchdown. Like it's just going with that whole, we don't have a wide receiver 1. We've got a wide receiver core, and it's worked really well so far. And Willis was huge. I think, right up until game time, they kept saying, Love's still a chance. But having him play well just gives us that opportunity to say, we'll get Love right. Might be 1 more week, might be 2 more weeks, whatever it is, get him right. Our defense has been absolutely elite. We've had more takeaways. We've equaled our takeaways from last year in the first 3 games. So we've had 7 picks in 3 games, which is, I think we're number 1 overall. So defense, which we've struggled, especially the run defense. They had Tony Pollard went for like 15 yards. Our run defense has been shit for years. So I don't know if we can just keep going on the offensive side. Our defensive side is winning us games. So although we put up 30, so I don't know if we're saying the offense is struggling, but just keep that rolling. Get Jordan Love back in there. I'm pretty happy I put money on us to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you that now.
You put money on you to win the Super Bowl every year. So
I do. You're right. But it's going to pay off finally. All right, we've got plenty to talk about, mate. Some of the early games that were quite shocking again, really. The three worst teams in the league, as dubbed by us, all got a win on the same day. The Giants beating the Browns. I've got it here. Broncos beating the Bucks, which is a massive upset. And the Panthers, they were in the Arvo game, but also getting the job done over the Raiders.
Yeah, so this would have been a great week to have an any given Sunday pick because you essentially could have picked almost anyone apart from the Chiefs. Crazy. So the Giants were hardly perfect in this. They fumbled the ball on the opening kickoff and fell behind 7-0 in the first 11 seconds. I was like, great, here we go. Classic Giants doing Giants things. Then they actually went 21-7 at halftime. They went up 21-7. The rookie Malik Neighbors got his first touchdown pass. Then he got his second touchdown pass not too long after that as well. So all done in the first half. And then the Giants were just hanging on for dear life. Luckily, the Browns were pretty banged up. I don't think they had much of their offensive line, so it wasn't really helping out Sean Watson too much. And the Browns only crawled back to 21-15. And the Giants managed to hold on to that one.
Yeah, you're right. Giants had 8 sacks on the day, which is huge. Big Brian Burns getting after it as well. So huge win for them because they have been on the chopping block. And like you said, it wasn't a great day, but a win covers up a lot of stuff. You know, as we've seen with your Birds during the week, you win that game, it's a different narrative where you lost that game last week and all the dramas come out. So the Giants have definitely had those dramas come out because they're shit still. But good win for them. And I think it probably says more about the Browns than it does for the Giants because even though banged up, we've shown how bad the Giants are this year and they're not getting the job done. Like it's not a great start to the season for them. Like they might be 0-3 now, are they? Throwing you on the bus there. They're at least they didn't win the first week. I can't remember how they went last week, but yeah, it's not a great start to the season. Broncos beating the Bucks. That is a massive upset. The way that the Bucks have been playing. Bo Nix still yet to throw a touchdown, but getting the job done for the Broncos.
Yeah, so he actually got a touchdown on his feet, but hasn't thrown one yet. Is impressive that they actually got the job done just essentially on field goals. But Baker Mayfield actually got sacked 7 times in this game as well. It was big sack city. The defense, once again, proving relatively strong for the Broncos. And it is good for Bo Nix to get his maiden victory.
Yeah, and threw for over 200 as well. So good. I like Bo Nix. I think he's going to go well, and he's just got to keep adding to this, and then they'll be all right. And the one that we semi-picked, Panthers getting the job done against the Raiders. They did have a new QB bump, and he's come out and played pretty well. Big Red, Andy Dalton.
Yeah, so he came out, and I think he's the first QB now to have over 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. First QB this year to do it, which is really impressive. And we did say he was going to come out and probably play pretty well and potentially get the job done, and he absolutely did that. So once again, obviously he's a number 1 listener as well.
Yeah, he does. He loves the show, Big Red. How bad is this for Bryce Young?
Yeah, this isn't looking good. We said that he is going to sit for a bit. He's definitely going to sit for the whole season now. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts his hand up at the end of the season asking for a trade to get out of there. And the perfect example of this, which almost leads us on to the next story, is what Justin Fields is doing with the Steelers. So he was at the Bears organization. The organization wasn't doing too well. Everyone was blaming on Justin Fields, saying that he wasn't really a pass threat. He could only really do it on his feet. Goes over the Steelers, and goes up 3-0 to start the season.
Huge and really surprising. That leads us perfectly into the next story. The Vikings beating the Texans, Steelers beating the Chargers. Both of them now 3-0. Which of them are you more surprised about?
Probably the Vikings. The Steelers' defense was always going to be dominant. Like, you got JJ Watt, like you're going to be competitive, and the Steelers are known for that. Like, almost grit and grind sort of. Let's wave that towel around their head during the defense and during the offense. They were. I was never really surprised that the defense was going to probably hold them in a lot of games and keep games at a low scoring. Which I think this was it 20-10 or something. Like, they kept the Chargers. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all over. Like, and their rushing game's been huge, and they kept J.K. Dobbins to, it is here. They kept him to 15 carries for 44 yards, and they won 20-10. Mate, you're all over it. Back yourself.
Yeah. See, I know football.
Mm.
So the Steelers' defense was always going to be good. So the more surprising one to me is the Vikings. You got Sam Darnold coming in there. We none of us really knew how that was going to go. Kirk Cousins, to me, left a massive hole because he was that kind of Mr. Consistent quarterback. You always knew exactly what you were getting from him. He is essentially a plug-and-play sort of quarterback. You put him in any situation, teach him the offense, and he's probably going to get the job done relatively well. Something that I've probably underrated is the Vikings defense.
Do you know who the number one passing touchdown scorer is for the season? Sam Darnold.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because he had another 4 today. So I think he's another one for Bryce Young to look at and go, he was drafted by the Jets in a terrible situations, moved around a bit, end up at San Fran last year, obviously learned a bit, took it all on board and took his medicine. He was the number 2, took his medicine, had his chance over the Vikings, and now they're 3-0, and they've beaten some quality teams too, beaten the Texans, beaten 49ers last week. So definitely a shock. I'm wondering how long it will go for with the Packers sitting 3rd in the division, 2-1. Just see how long the Vikings can stick at it. But Aaron Jones coming across from the Packers. He's been big. He had another good day on the ground too. So just seems like they're enjoying themselves over there in the Vikings. And mate, 3-0 is a huge start for them. They're doing a hell of a lot better than the Dolphins are with no Tua.
Oof. Dolphins with no Tua. Is that any Dolphins at all? It's not looking like it. So they only had 170 yards passing and 1 field goal. Are we looking like the season's over for the Dolphins?
Well, that was the question I was going to pose to you, mate. Is the season done? Like, they are, Tua's another 3 weeks away. I think they said week 6 they got a bye. But they were into their 3rd string today, 3rd string QB. And just to only have 1 field goal against the Seahawks, who are doing pretty well. Metcalf went for another 100. He seems to be back and up and about. But to have 170 yards passing, passing is the Dolphins. They've got Tyreek Hill. They've got Jaden Waddle. Like, that's their bread and butter. So to have those guys, I think Tyreek went for 40 yards today. Like, I think they are in a world of hurt because if they lose the next 2, they're going to be, 1-4, 1-5? Like, it's going to be pretty hard to come back from that. Even if Tua does come back and gets the all clear and is back week 7, week 8, they're going to be pushing shit uphill, especially in the division they're in. Like, the Jets are kind of working their shit out a little bit. They've got the Bills who play tomorrow who could go 3-0. Like, you're going to be working hard to get back into it. Speaking of getting back into it, the Rams, a massive comeback win over the 49ers, 10 points down with just over 6 minutes to go. And just looking on the ESPN app, they had a 98% chance of winning 49ers, and Brock Purdy shit the bed.
Absolutely. Like, all credit to the Rams as well, because they kept themselves in that game, and 100% should have been the 49ers to put away. But big shout out to the Rams. Tutu Atwell had an incredible game.
Yeah, he had a massive catch later. I reckon it was like a 30 or 40 yard down the field after a turnover. A couple of late fumbles and turnovers by the 49ers really, really hurt him. And then just not being able to get that first down which would have ended the game. It gave them just over a minute, I think it was, to turn around and kick a game-winning field goal. And they did. They left it 2 seconds on the clock. And it's a pretty exciting final 2 seconds. They were throwing the ball around a bit, the 49ers. Got down to about their 40, but yeah, couldn't get the job done, and a huge victory. I know they're both banged up a bit, especially the Rams, but no Debo or anything like that on the 49ers side. No CMC is obviously going to make a massive impact. But 1 and 2 early in the season is definitely not the way we thought they were going to start.
Well, no, I hadn't pinned as potential Super Bowl favourites, so they were going to bounce back quite well. But yeah, that injury list for this game was something like 16 players long.
Yeah.
You're not really need a team potentially can really get the job done when you got that many players missing. And then the Rams have just capitalized on this, like you said, that final drive and that late field goal to get it done. You got to give it to them. Got to absolutely give it to them.
Yeah. The other massive game, which I called game of the week. The Ravens getting the job done against the Cowboys. Ravens started off hot. They got out to an early lead, and just like not the Panthers, whoever we were speaking about before, holding on because they end up winning. I think it was 25-22 or something. It was a 3-point margin in the end, or 2-point margin. Dak coming home strong, but King Henry went out and dominated 151 yards on the ground and 2 total touchdowns.
The Cowboys are in trouble. The Cowboys are in so much trouble. To start the game start the season like this, 1 and 2. It's
and
tough.
The 2 losses are at home.
Yeah, 2 losses are at home, which is not ideal by any means for him. I'd be very worried as a Cowboys fan right now.
After going 16 straight, they've lost the last 3, including the Packers in the.
You bring this up every time.
No, I just wanted to make it. I'm not 3 at home this year. The one late last year, the 2 first games this year, like it was almost a lock to a home game for the Cowboys. They're done and dusted. Throw away the keys, and huge for the Ravens as well. Like we said, starting 0-3, it's a long way back. King Henry finally gets his game going and looks like King Henry again. So whether they've worked out how they want to use him, and it was good. But also a big shout out to Big Daniel. Now I've got to say this right. It's Fa'alahe, I think.
Nice. That wasn't bad. That's
big
impressive.
Aussie. He was on one massive King Henry run. He was the lead blocker. He was out in front. And then also they needed a first down at the very end because the Cowboys were coming. They needed a first down, which would have shut the game, and he was a big lead blocker and got it done. So good for him on an O-line that's just getting to know each other. He looks like he's really settling in there, and yeah, good for the Aussies to be doing well.
Yeah, for sure. And we've always spoken about the Ravens having this 2-headed rushing beast, and that's exactly what it was. Like you said, King Henry had 151 yards, but Lamar Jackson also had 87.
Yeah.
He had 182 in the air, but he only attempted 15 passes. And he was 12 from 15 in that, which is very, very impressive to actually get the job done, especially against this Cowboy side, which generally has a quite good rushing defense.
I reckon I turned it on. I missed the start of the game, and they were 3 from 3 for 90 yards. He was very early. He was hitting some real long bombs. So, good win for the Ravens just to get their season back going. The last game we're going to talk about, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Chiefs. I know you watched majority of the game. I also watched majority of the game, so I can also talk about it. But it was a game where the Chiefs kind of fell behind early. The Falcons started off well. I think they were 6 from 6 early passes, straight down for a score. The Falcons, they took the ball and went down and scored. And then the Chiefs were just behind the ball until halftime. They kind of sorted their shit out. Travis Kelce finally getting his hands on the ball as well. Well into the third quarter, he only had 2 targets for 4 yards. He hadn't quite got going. He got a couple in the end. But the Chiefs, just doing the Chiefs thing, reeled him in, but a couple of big plays late where they were lucky to get the job done.
Yeah, so those 2 drives the Falcons had in the fourth. And the first one, there was a pass into the end zone. Can't remember targeting whether it was Drake London or May.
There was Pitts. Cole Pitts.
Yeah. But yeah, there was 100% some pass interference going on there. And if that was going the other way...
Him before he even got there was nowhere near the ball. He tackled him.
Yeah, and he didn't even look at the ball.
No.
didn't have eyes on the ball. So 100% of pass interference. So if this was down the Chiefs end, that flag would have been thrown. 100% it would have been thrown. But yeah, because it was the Falcons going up against them, didn't like that call. Didn't like that call at all because it would have completely flipped the game. Would have given the Chiefs still 2 minutes, I think, to go back down and score. But then I reckon the refs...
I reckon it would have put them... They would have been 4 down, so they needed to score a touchdown. It wasn't just to go down and score a field goal. They needed to score a touchdown to win.
But I reckon the refs realised their mistake. They would have seen it on the replay and been like, oof, we missed one. Because then the Falcons defense actually got a 3 and out against the Chiefs. So then the Falcons had one more chance and they're going up. I think they had maybe 2 minutes left. It was around the 2-minute warning anyway when they did it. And then flags were getting thrown left, right, and centre. One of them was early pass interference, which was fine. One of them definitely wasn't. There was nothing there, and they just threw a flag anyway. And it was just almost like the refs had realised they made a mistake and they were just trying to kind of help the Falcons get there. But the Chiefs' defense stopped them again. It was 4th and inches, I think, the last one. And they just couldn't get the job done. Tried to go for a little running play, and it didn't work. I think there's a lot to this as well because a lot of other teams will probably go for a little quarterback sneak there. But with Kirk Cousins coming off that Achilles injury, he's just probably not ready to be putting himself in that because it's a high risk for injury doing the quarterback sneak. And that's probably what they needed to do to actually get that job done. Yeah,
I had it on mute. I had my young bloke sitting with me. He didn't want to listen to the commentary anymore. So looking at it, I was like, 100% this is a QB sneak. He's just going to dive in straight under, get the 4th down. They still had plenty of time left. 40-odd seconds with 2 timeouts, like heaps of time. And they were at about the 20-odd yard line as well. So they were looking real good, really charging down the field. But yeah, missed it. Gave it in Bijan Robinson's hands. Didn't get the job done. He finished with about only 30 or 40 yards. He wasn't having a great day. But he's on track for almost 2,000 rushing yards and 0 touchdowns. He hasn't scored this year on the ground.
Has he not scored?
Not on the ground. Nah. He's on track for nearly 2,000 rushing yards, but 0 touchdowns. So huge. I reckon he might have caught one in the air early in the season, but yeah, he hasn't scored on the ground, which is huge. I'd put him 9 times out of the 10.
He scored today.
Huh?
He scored today.
Nah, he didn't. I don't think he did.
He scored today.
You're a liar. Anyway, I'll just cut that bit out. I don't know where I saw that stat, but when I saw it, it was like, Jesus, that's fucking huge. Well done to him.
Are we having a pause?
No. Fact check yourself. That's good. I like it. You keep me honest. But anyway, still, he didn't have a great day. Like, only 40-odd yards. They end up bringing Algier in. He had just as many yards on half the carries. So the Falcons, although they've done pretty well considering they're playing the Chiefs, I reckon that's one they've let slip there.
Yeah, for sure. And if the Falcons had done that, going up 2-1 is quite a good start, especially after their first game, which they weren't anywhere, really.
No.
But also, Chiefs now 3-0, kind of where we expect them to be at this point in the season, but it's just going to keep on giving them more motivation. But something that I have noticed, every single game has been relatively tight. So when they faced the Ravens, it was a close game. When they faced the Bengals, it was close. They probably should have lost.
Yeah.
So are they just going to keep on doing Chiefs things?
Yeah, that's it. That is keeping everyone at arm's length, get the job done at the end. It's annoying, but they do it well. Now, tomorrow, we are lucky enough, or today, for those who are listening, lucky enough, we've got 2 games. Bills and Jags, Bengals and Commanders. One starting at 9:30 Eastern Standard, the other one at 10:15. So you'll probably get a quarter and a half of the first game before the second game starts. But a nice little flicking between either. I wonder if Red Zone will be on, so you can have them both at the same time. Probably not. You got to do either go Game Pass and have 2 screens, or you'd be flicking between ESPN 1 and 2. But the first game, the Bills, who are a 5.5 point favourite. I was about to work that out then. 5.5 point favourite against the Jags. Probably a little bit light on, really, the way these 2 teams have been playing. How do you see this one going, mate?
Yeah, the Jags really need to turn around this season. Like, they haven't really started all that strong, and the Bills definitely have. And the Bills, we were talking that would Josh Allen really have that many targets, and he seemed to have figured that out.
Yeah, he's really spreading it around. Shakir is probably the number 1 target the last few weeks, especially, and then you got big Dalton Kincaid as well. But they're riding on the back of their defense. Really, they're the 3rd best defense in the AFC, with a 27-point differential, which is the best in the AFC. there's a couple in the NFC that have been a bit higher than that. But in the AFC, they're the best, third best defense and the best differential. So 69% of the money is with the Bills, which is not surprising.
I think that is surprising. It should be higher.
Yeah, closer to 90. But can the Jags turn it around, mate? They've lost 7 in their last 8, and the only win was against the Panthers in week 17, which I did see a stat, and I know this one's true. Not only did the Panthers get their first win today, they hadn't been in front. Before today's game, they hadn't been leading in a game for like 280 days.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of it's the off-season, but it was like week 5 or something last year before they were even in front in a game. So the fact that their only win is against a Panthers team that was decimated, Jags are really struggling.
Yeah, they are. They just don't really seem like they've got much of a direction. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's the roster. Whatever it is, it's just not really working for them. And I don't think this is the week they're going to turn it around.
I wonder what they're paying for AGS Bet of the Week. Late contender. Like, it could be one that they going into...
They're only paying $2.97.
Yeah, that's probably not quite high enough for me to be...
No,
Is it high mark? What's the name of the Bill Stadium? Anyway, it's in Buffalo. It's a nice day, 20 odd degrees, and so they're not playing in the snow, which we know those Florida teams hate. But yeah, I don't know. It could be a day with nothing to lose. They're expected to lose here. Do they come around? Trevor Lawrence turn it around and see what happens? But yeah, I'm not liking. I'm liking the Bills at under 5.5, which would be closer to that $1.80, $1.90 mark, I'm presuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second game, Bengals. They're a 7.5 point favourite against the Commanders. One side you go, yeah, that's fair enough. The other side, they're 0-2. Even though they had a great game, they're 0-2. Commanders are 1-1. Jaden Daniels' Monday night debut. So a little bit of nerves and he's got the bright lights on him. But is this the opportunity for the Bengals to turn around?
Yeah, 100%. This is probably the one the Bengals have been after losing the Chiefs. The one they're probably most looking forward to, thinking that they're going to get a win here because it's in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Correct in saying that?
Correct.
Yeah. It's in Cincinnati. Commanders traveling. Jaden Daniels primetime game. The nerves are going to be through the roof. I think it should be not a walk in the park. Don't get me wrong, but it should be definitely a Bengals win.
64% of the people agree with you on that one. About 7.5, so it's a lot of points. But yeah, they definitely should get the job done here. You brought up a good point, which will come into our multi in a second. The Commanders do really well against tight ends. So presuming that the wideouts could finally come into the game a little bit more for the Bengals.
Yeah, we're hoping so. We're hoping so. And we'll get to that with the next segment.
We're going to get into it right now. Well, actually, Bengals, you're picking the Bengals. What about the line? What are your thoughts on the line?
7.5. Maybe let's drop it back to 6.5. I don't know why they put it at 7.5. Let's put it at a 1 touchdown win.
Get the 1 touchdown, yeah. Because they're smart. They know stuff that we don't. So 7.5 is probably a good line. I actually... Joey B needs a win. I know they haven't won a first game, I think, since he's been in the league. And only 3 of their 6 seconds games. So he'll get on a bit of a run now. We'll get the blonde-headed Joey going. And I reckon 7.5 is probably generous. So I'll take it at $1.80 odd. But we're not going to take it in our multi. We're going to put the multi together. So a little bit special. We've got 2 games. We're going to have a multi on each. And then just to juice it up, we're going to put them together as well. So we actually got 3 multis going. First game, Jags at Bills. What do you like there, mate?
As we were saying before, the Jags aren't really anywhere. So let's just take the Bills straight up.
Yeah, Bills for the W. We're just saying Khalil Shakir is his number 1 receiver. So I like your thoughts on not so many yards. Let's go receptions. How many he's had 5 and I think 6 in the first 2 weeks. Khalil, what are you putting him in here?
Yeah, I reckon let's just keep this one safe, especially if we're going to chuck 2 of them together. So I'm liking him for 3. Surely he's going to get targeted way more than that. Then he needs to catch 3 of them.
Yeah, as long as he catches them, I don't care where he goes with them. Just catch them.
No, you can catch and sit. As long as he catches them.
Big James Cook, James Cook He was big for them last week. They really rode him. And like we said, we're not sure about the wideouts that he's got going at the moment and big Dalton Kincaid. So relying on the running back. And I don't reckon Josh wants to run as much as everyone thinks either. So he's happy to sitting back, getting the W's. Only had 2 yards last week when we put him for over 25. So he killed us last week. So let's go on James Cook. He's had a couple of games well over 50. So what are you thinking?
I reckon we'll keep this one at around 40. I think you're right. I think they're going to ride the running back a little bit more. Josh Allen seems like he's trying to protect his body. It is very early in the season. Maybe when it comes down closer to crunch time, I'm going to see him run again, but I reckon he's going to try and protect himself, which we learned the hard way last week.
We learned very hard way, yeah. They did dominate the Dolphins, so he didn't have to put himself out there. But we've got to do something for the Jags. Got to give them a little bit of love. Travis Etienne, especially with Tank Bigsby, still not sure. He's doubtful for the weekend or tomorrow. So we're going to go alternate rushing. I'll talk through this one. Alternate rushing, alternate receiving. He's gone over 55 both times. So we're going to bring it back. He's their main man. So we're going to go 50 yards, alternate rushing and receiving. So let's hopefully he can get going. That's going to give us a $3.48 multi. And we're going to double that straight into the next game. Commanders at Cincinnati. Joey B had a week out last week, 260 yards in the air. What do you want him for? Surely we've got to put him in. Especially we're saying the wideouts are going to have a day out.
Yeah, they are going to have a day out. I reckon we'll keep it relatively safe. I think plus 200, you won't get enough value out of it, so let's go plus 225.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Brian Robinson for those Commanders has been, again, another shining light for them. And Daniel's Monday Night Football debut. I reckon it's an easy one to go. Here you go, buddy. It's your ball in the backfield. So I like him for 40. He's had 50 plus both times and went over 100 last week.
It's been on a heater.
40,
an absolute heater.
Yeah, nice and easy. 40 yards. What about on the other side? Some rushing yards for those Bengals, mate.
Yeah, so you're going to have to throw Zach Moss in for something, aren't we? The Bengals are going to use both threats. They're going to use Joey B's, but they're also going to try and get some yards on the ground too. So I reckon just throw him in for 25. You potentially could do that in one single attempt. So I reckon 25 is a relatively safe one there.
I wouldn't hate if he just first up, here you go, mate. There's a 30-yard rush. Bang. Done and dusted. And we've said that the wideouts are going to go well, so we're going to stick with your plan. I like your plan. Jamar Chase, receptions first week. He got targeted 6 or 7 times, caught 5 of them. Last week he got targeted 6 times, caught all 6. So he's getting the sticky mitts out. I like that. And we think they're not going to go. Last week Gesicki got 8 or 9 targets for over 100. They're going to be tight on the tight ends. Their DBs are good against tight ends. So the wideouts, how many receptions do you reckon, Chase?
I reckon let's just keep this one nice and safe so we can get a few wins on the board. I reckon he's going to get targeted way more than this, but let's keep it at 5.
Beauty. $2.99. Put it into both of them. You can up it. We've got it at $10.40 for both. So we've got a $2.99, a $3.48, or $10.40, or all three. Why not all three?
Jump on all 3. Keep it safe that way. Only one of them needs to hit and you get your money back.
That's it. All right, mate. Good work. We'll be back on Thursday morning for the Week 4 preview. Great win by the Packers and your Birds. They did pretty well too, mate. Well done.
Gamble responsibly, everyone.